YouTubes, you all good? Hope you're all well. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we've got quite a decent job to do. It's a Jeep Compass and it's in for a new door, so a brand new door shell and blend the colour. So should be quite a straightforward job. Like doing new panels. So yeah, it's going to be just strip and fitting and paint work on this. Yeah, I do like new panel jobs, and jobs like this where it's a new panel and blend, quite straightforward paint wise. I enjoy them types of jobs. I spent quite a few years before I went on my own working in crash repair, and we was all on bonus at the time, so getting paint work with new panels was always a winner when you're on bonus. We used to get people in the workshop, if they see you walking down the workshop with a new panel in your hand, everyone would be shouting out "Creamer," because you get decent hours for the type of job it is. But yeah, it's just a little bit of body shop bants there. That's what used to happen. But yeah, they were always a straightforward job to earn bonus on new panels. So anyway, waffling again a little bit. So yeah, that's it. I like these cars. I've never really looked at these before. This is a fairly new one, so it's a Jeep Compass. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to take this door off yet. So I'm going to leave the door on. Just strip the blend panels, get the handle out, badge off, mirror moulding, see how this trim comes off. I may just mask this trim off, and I need to have a look at this trim because it's got a really tight rubber on this. This I can get back with lifting tape, no issue. But yeah, I might see if this trim comes off. If it comes off easy enough, I'll take it off. If not, I'm going to have to see. It's quite a hard rubber. Maybe I'll just get lifting tape in there, but we'll see. I don't want to start breaking clips and stuff just for a blend panel. I've never worked on one of these, so I'm not sure at the moment. So yeah, that's it. So I'm just going to get the blend panel stripped, get them all prepped up. So it'd be 800 DA across the face, 1000 pad, and then grey Scotch wet for the blend panels, and then the new door. I just need to go and get the new door. It's in my other garage. New door, be preparation on that would be 320 DA all over and a red Scotch to key it all up. So yeah, that's it on this job. Film some of the paint preparation and the painting, and I'll see what I film. I don't know what I'm going to film. I keep saying at the beginning of videos I'm going to film this, that, and then I get sidetracked and yeah, get taken away from the camera, or I can't set it up or whatever. Who knows, eh? We'll just see how it goes. I'll see what I film, and then that's what's going to be in the video. So yeah, that being said, I'll get started on this job. Right then, YouTubes. Yeah, so job's all been stripped. Just kept the door on, just so we can get the paint done first, and then like I said, we can do the swap over all in one go. Then ideally I should have at least hung that door on, but the skin was quite badly damaged, but there was nothing out of line, nothing was struggling to shut, or any gaps were out of line, so I just took the gamble really. But ideally you want to set the hinges up on the new door, and then paint the door with it set up. But yeah, I didn't do it that way. So yeah, Reece done the preparation on this, so he had the head cam on, just to film a bit of the blending preparation. We pretty much do the same on everything. 800 DA through the flats, 1000 soft pad round edges just to get out any more orange peel, and then grey Scotch wet is what the normal procedure on blend panels. It's just going around the edges. Obviously you've got to be a little bit careful with getting breakthroughs. It's happened a few times. Get a breakthrough right at the end where you just want clear coat, and now you have to try and puff a little bit of colour in there, makes the right paint of it. Yeah, years ago I never used to DA blend panels. I just used to grey scotch and wet. And I find, yeah, if you can just grey scotch and wet, or just key them up and leave all the factory orange peel in there. But then you'll sort of paint painting on top of texture then as well. It's better to get the clear coat all flat if possible, in most of the places anyway. But yeah, and then years and years ago, before I you know, when I started as an apprentice, we never even used to Scotch Brite panels. We used to teacup blend panels. You know, when I started, we was just going over to 2-pack then, so I was sort of in the middle of the cellulose days, and you know, going into 2-pack. That's when I started. There was sort of that transition was just happening when I started painting. So I did do a little bit of cellulose work when I was younger, and a bit of cellulose painting and flattening back the coats and reapplying more coats and flat and polishing. It used to polish up lovely. But yeah, we used to blend panels. We just used to tea-cut them, and then yeah, blend the colour into them and clear coat them. Yeah, I don't know if the paint stayed on them or not, to be honest with you. But yeah, that used to be the procedure, and then yeah, grey sort of progressed on to just grey scotching them wet, and then grey scotching them with paste, and now we sort of moved on again, didn't it? And yeah, I think you could probably get away with 600 grit over clear coat. But yeah, I just feel a bit happier with 800 grit, and then 1000 grit on soft pad, and you could do 1000 grit. There's loads of ways you can prep a blend panel. You can wet flat it with 1200 wet and dry, or 1500 wet and dry. There's multiple ways you can key up a blend panel, and the outcomes are pretty much all the same. But yeah, I think it's quite fast to do it this way, just to do it all dry, DA it all dry, and then just do it all with a wet Scotch Brite and a little bit of paste, and you sort of clean up all your dust and stuff as well at the same time. So yeah, that's really getting it all prepped up now, all the blend panels, and yeah, getting it ready to go straight in the booth and mask up. So yeah, pretty simple job really. Right then, YouTubes, that's the Jeep Compass all ready to paint. So I'll give you a quick look. Didn't get any footage of the masking. I'm under a little bit of pressure to get the paint on this today. So yeah, the blend panels have just been 800 DA, 1000 hand pad, soft pad, and grey scotch wet. And then the new door's just been 320 grit and 320 grit DA and a red scotch. So yeah, that's it. So I need to wet and wet this door first. So I use Mipa F37 to wet and wet it. Also, this sometimes you get door shells, and I expected it with this one. It don't come with a sealer. I should have recorded it going on, but it's just sealer on a tape that we've got by J tape. So it's transparent, so you can see where it's going, and then just blend it in with a bit of normal sealer. Just wash it in with your finger, and then a little bead down there, and then a bead across the bottom. So yeah, it's all sealed up, all ready to go. So I just need to degrease it, get it all degreased, and then get the wet on there, and then get the colour mixed. There's one shade of this colour. It was okay, it wasn't brilliant. So I've done a little bit of rectification with the camera, and it seems better. But I will spray it out as I go as well, just to check it. But we are blending it. There's nothing really going to go edge to edge. So yeah, wet that door, then get the colour mixed while that's drying. So I put F37, Mipa F37 wet on that. I put a coat of blender coat over these two blend panels. I will have to mask this panel off when I wet that, because it is a bit close, my boot's a bit tight. And then yeah, be the usual suspects on the guns. 1500B for the wet and wet with a 1.4, and then my X5500 Satajet with a 1.2i HVLP for the base coat, and then I'm going to do this with the CC gun for the clear coat, and the clear coat I use on this one is going to be Mipa CC9. So yeah, that's it. I'll get it all degreased, blown off and tacked off, and we'll get some paint on it. Right, so just getting it degreased now, so yeah, it's all masked in the booth. Just giving it a water degrease all over, and then I'll give it a solvent degrease afterwards. Not a lot more I can say about that really. What it is. Yeah, well, what I will say is I think my jobs have got cleaner since I started using microfiber cloths, and they save you money as well, because them spirit wipes, if you buy them boxes of spirit wipes where you only use them once, they're really expensive. I never realised how expensive they were. And washing out microfiber cloths, buying a few packets of that you only need to be sort of cheapy ones off of Amazon or something like that. Yeah, it saves you loads of money really in the long run. I'm really into trying to save money lately, just looking at my materials bills and where I get my materials. I swear they're ripping me off. No, I'm only joking. I only said that because I know Mark will be watching it. But no, you've got to try and save money in places, and I'm getting a bit frugal with my materials at the minute, because I must admit work is up and down at the moment, to be fair. And yeah, but this is a part of the workshop you've never seen. That's the toilet. It's a dark, horrible place in there. But yeah, I've got a load of PPS2 cups in there, so again, trying to save bits of money and use stuff up. I've been using them for wet and wet. I like the PPS2 cups, not a problem with them. I just find not having the pop top, having the airflow on the SATAs, I just get a better flow rate. I get a better flow rate with the SATA cups. That's why I use them. So for base coat and clear coat, I use them. But yeah, I've been using the PPS2s. I've got probably half a box of them left. Been using them for wet and wet, and they're fine for that. They are fine for all the applications, to be fair. It's me just being a bit fussy, and me being a SATA fanboy, as probably most people know. So yeah, that's why I've been using the SATA cups. But no, I do use the SATA cups because there's a better flow rate with the pop top, and playing that off against being able to turn the other ones upside down. I'd rather use the SATA cups just because of having that little bit of better flow rate. But I think 3M are bringing out some hard pop ones now with a pop top. I mean, you can have the issue as well with the hard casings on the PPS cups. I wash mine out, to be fair, when I done base coat or lacquer with them. I'd keep them separate for base coat and lacquer as well. I'd run them through the gun wash machine on every job as well, which sort of defeats the object a little bit of having disposable cup, but you're cleaning the hard pot. But they're good. They're decent. I just prefer the SATA ones now, to be fair. I haven't got to use an adapter. They go straight on the gun, obviously, as well. And yeah, like I say, just a bit of a better flow rate. So yeah, that's wet and wet that I've mixed up there. Mipa F37, and then blender. That's blender. I keep that in a pot all the time. Keep that ready to go. But that pot's getting a bit old and it's dried off on the edges where I've refilled it a few times. I thought I'll put a new pot, make a new pot up for the blender coat. But I just keep that. I keep that on the side. Keep it upside down so the filter stays wet. And that blender coat is just ready for use. Don't mix anything with it. No water, nothing. It's just straight out the container into your pot. And yeah, I just keep that there ready to go whenever I need it. And just like I say, once the pot starts getting a little bit dirty or some dried up paint on it, I'll swap it over into a new pot. So yeah, that's the blender, and that's you just put one light coat of that blender on and dry it out, and it really does work. I have found though, if you get anything in it, you can't nib it. That's one downside to it. But luckily, it's only happened to me once. Yeah, it just seems to roll back. I'm not sure why that was, but yeah, a lot of blender coats go on wet or whatever, and they stay. You know, you call them wet beds. You call so that they stay wet, and you base coat into them wet. But the Mipa one, it's all everything gets dried out. You give everything a coat of blender over your repair panels. You know, if you've got primer on a job, blender over that as well. Fills in any little micro scratches and stuff as well, so your metallics don't pick up your micro scratches on your blend outs. And yeah, it definitely gives you a lot better transition on metallics for blending. I don't use it on all colours, but anything with a fairish aluminium content in it, I'll use it. I probably don't use it on blacks and stuff like that, metallic blacks, but a lot of other metallics I do. So yeah, just give that little quarter panel a mask off, so I don't get no wet and wet overspray over it. And yeah, just get one coat of wet and wet on that door. Just put it on as wet as possible. I turn the pressure up a little bit as well, just to try and get it on there. I want to have decent build with it, have decent film build on there, but I don't want sort of a real textured film build as well. So yeah, I turn the pressure up just to try and atomize it a bit more, and just try and get one wet coat on there in one go. I did have a few sort of issues with the wet on wet, little teething issues. I wasn't putting it on wet enough, to be fair. That's what the issue was. Wasn't the product, it was user error, which is normally the case with a lot of products. So yeah, some wet and wet going on there. Like sort of, it's just in light grey and dark grey. So that was dark grey, and I just probably put about 10% of light grey into it, just so it wasn't so dark. Don't know why I've done that. Probably didn't need to, but I did. But yeah, so it's a decent wet and wet, the Mipa F37. It says I could just wet and wet that new panel there with proper factory electrocoat on there. I could wet and wet that without even having a key up. It says it will adhere to it, but you wanted some of the electrocoats from factory electrocoats. The texture's horrible on them, so you wouldn't do that anyway. But you probably do it on the inside, but for the time it takes to key up a new panel, it doesn't take long at all, and there's always not quite often there's scratches and stuff in there. But yeah, being a bit too frugal with the paint again, and sucking all the air out of that PPS cup, just trying to get enough to get on the inside of it. I didn't want to go and mix up another thimble full just to put a little bit more on the inside, but I managed to get there just about. And yeah, so got both these applications done in the same time, if you know what I mean. Got the wet and wet on there, moved the door out the way a little bit, and then got the blender on there, and then they can all dry together then. And then while they're drying together, the blender, I won't bother blowing that. I just leave it at the booth temperature, normal temperature, about 25 degrees it'd be. Then I'll go and mix my colour, and by the time I've mixed my colour, the blender and the wet and wet, it's all ready to go. So yeah, like I say, this blender's it's quite funny stuff actually. Like I say, you put it over everything and you dry it out. We don't put like a super wet coat on there really. I haven't had it change colour on anything, so that's a good thing. Yeah, it looks a bit funny when it goes on there. It doesn't go on there like Basecoat does. And yeah, it's a bit hard to describe how it goes on there. Almost, yeah, sort of looks like a real thin coat Basecoat, I suppose. And then yeah, dries out fine, and yeah, really helps with the blending and the laying down of metallics. Really helps a lot. I've just had I had one time where something landed in it, a coloured lump, and I tried to nib it and it just started rolling back. So I've had one bad experience with trying to nib it in a blend area. Don't know if it wasn't dry enough, to be fair. It sort of felt sort of latex based, it did. But yeah, that's the only issue I've had with the blender, was I had a coloured lump go in it and I tried to nib it. I had to base coat over it in the end. So yeah, that's it. I had to give the spray out a little nib. I had overspray over it from the wet on wet. And I know it's only a spray out, but I don't want my spray out to look all gritty when I was checking the colour. And yeah, I probably speeded this up a bit too much, but it does look quite orange peely, that F37, when it goes on there. But when it dries out really silky smooth. It's nice, really good wet on wet it is. I know I'm always banging on about Mipa products, but I'll be honest with you, I've had a few paint systems while I've been on my own, and I've used various ones in different places I've worked before I've been on my own. But I've never, since I've worked for myself, I've always had a paint scheme, but I've never used every part of that paint scheme. I would have different clear coats, or different makes of clear coat, different makes of primer, and I would mix and match on every system that I've had. I've had Lesnol, Octral, and I would just Leckler, and I would use, I'd have a Basecoat system, but I wouldn't use all of their products because there were some things I liked, some things I didn't. So this is the first time with Mipa that I use everything Mipa, start to finish, pretty much every job, all the paint products are Mipa. And yeah, I've got to say, I'm impressed with it. It's mid-range, it's not the most expensive, it's not the cheapest. I think it's really good quality. It's German, and yeah, it's pros and cons with every paint scheme. But I use everything on Mipa. I use the whole system, so from the primer to the clear coat, it's all Mipa. And yeah, and now sort of got used to it all and ironed out little teething problems I had with it all. Yeah, getting the results that I desire most of the time. So yeah, with the base coat now, a sort of like a 50% coat, a half coat went on there, just as a sort of grip coat. Dry that out, and then this is the double coat. Start at the bottom, work my way to the top, go back on myself, and then yeah, sort of a little bit further away on the second pass for the double coat, sort of just to try and even it up a little bit. I've said before in previous videos, it looks quite textured when it goes on there. You're not looking to get it on there as a super wet, flat finish. It's supposed to look textured. The coverage is there, you can see the coverage is there. It doesn't need to have more product on there just to make the base coat look smoother, when it's wet. It doesn't need to look like that when it's wet. It did throw me for a little while. I was used to Octral, that sort of went on there. That was a double coat system. You'd put it all on in one application, but it looked sopping wet when it was on there and flat, whereas this doesn't. This looks dry. It looks like solvent base coat a little bit, to be fair, when it's on there. It does. Solvent base coat sort of would have, some of them would have that sort of textured look. And yeah, just my little blends now, just a little double coat there, and a bit of flicking out, and then a bit more blending on the drop coat when we get to that. Trying to keep that back one a little bit tight, keep the colour away from the bumper as well. And colour was alright on this, actually. It turned out alright. Now drop coat at 1 bar. Sort of increase your distance, probably yeah, probably near on double the distance of when you base coat, and do a bit more sort of drop coating over your blend area as well. You can sort of do two. You can change the colour a little bit if you need to, or if you still think it looks a little bit patchy, let that first drop coat dry out. It's pretty simple to use, pretty simple. A few systems have the 1 bar drop coat. I sort of like go back over myself a little bit, and then I look at my blends, and sometimes just over the blend I'll put another little bit of a drop coat. It's not too difficult colour to blend. This colour, sort of darkish navy metallic blue, and it all blended in fine. I think I ran out there as well, that's another win, using all the base coat. That's what I like to see nowadays. Pretty much using every drop paint that I mix up. And so mixing the clear coat now. I used Mipa CC9 on this one. So CC9's a little bit better quality. Sort of, it's not their best clear coat. Their top end one is CC12, which they call their show clear. This is the next one down from that, which is more suited for production cars. I'd say the other one was more suited for custom work, to be fair. I have had some and used it, and it's great. Drying's a little bit slower, obviously. I think I'm just thinking about whether I might need a little bit more, so I went over, recalculated it. But CC9, the CX2, and that doesn't require finish. CC9 requires finish. It's between 0 and 5%. I've played about with all of it. I've tried it with no thinners. I've tried it with 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%. You can set that on the scale so you can be accurate with it. And I've gone over as well, and I just find the full 5% is about right. Polish is really nice, goes on really nice. But you do find with clear coats that do have thinners in them, that the thinners itself can create a bit of dieback on clear coat. I find the clear coats that don't require thinners, and then you don't put any thinners in them, it's less dieback, for definite. So the thinners itself, does cause a bit of dieback in clear coats. Well, it can do, yeah, for definite. And it dries really well, the base coat. So you can, once the drop coat's dry, you can give it a good tack in. It doesn't affect it. You don't mark it. And even the drop coat, it's not gritty or loads of metallic standing up. So even on your first coat of base coat, you don't really see any metal. Sometimes you can see like micro grit in your first coat from your drop coat, from your metallic, or from your base coat standing up a little bit. But no, it dries really smooth and really flat. So yeah, that's obviously the CC gun with this, and CC9, which sort of, there was a couple of reasons why I used CC9 on this job. I knew it was going to hang around for a little while, and after I've painted this, there's no more footage of this job because there was some parts we needed, small parts that Jeep couldn't even find them. They had to speak to the manufacturer in Italy. There was some clips that we needed for inside the door. There was a part that it needed because the part number changed on the door, so there was a little revised part for it, and it turned into a bit of a nightmare, this job with the customer as well, because we was doing this while he was on holiday, and then the car sat around for another week or so before we could even fit. We started fitting it all up, got all the door on, realised we needed some of these parts, which when we ordered the door, we should have been told that these parts were required for the door, but we weren't, and they couldn't even find them. There was things like nut certs that were missing from inside the door. It should have had nut certs. I had to, you know, get the right nut certs in there to fit all the inner trim, like all the inner panel that all the window regulator was on. It turned into a bit of a nightmare, the fitting up. So yeah, it might have been a good job for painting wise, nice and straightforward and simple, and I didn't have no issues on the paint side of it, but we had a load of issues with parts. It's becoming a real common occurrence lately with just simple little parts you need, and they take days and days, and it just delays everything, and you upset customers. It becomes a right headache for me sometimes. I come across it all the time, and I've had it now a few times. Been told it's like 15-18 days for a bumper bracket or something to turn up. So I've had to put cars sort of back together, they have to come back for it, and then 3 days later the part turns up. I don't know what's going on out there, but it's frustrating for me, and I just annoy the customers with it, and it ain't my fault half the time. So yeah, after this job we got halfway through fitting it up, and we had to stop because of parts delays and needed some parts, and yeah, in the end I found what I needed on eBay in the end, and like I say, the supplier I got the door from couldn't find what I needed. I took photos of it, they couldn't find it, and for about 3 days they were talking to the manufacturer in Italy, and I boycotted that in the end and got what I needed online. So yeah, and by that time it was all hands on deck to get it finished, get it fitted up, and get it back to a customer. So I never finished. I've never done any more footage on this after the painting. Yeah, it all turned into a bit of a nightmare with the stripping and fitting, but part and parcel of the job, and it is what it is, and these things are out of your control sometimes. There's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is just try and keep everyone happy. that's all you can do, really. But yeah, it was a shame because it went really well, and then we was all on schedule to get everything done on this job, fitted back together. It was all going really well, and then these little plastic parts and turned up, you know, that we realised that we needed. We couldn't reuse what was in the old door, and yeah, of course a lot of grief it did. But yeah, I couldn't believe there weren't even like nut certs on the inside of the door. I don't know if you can see in there's holes, and that's quite a crucial part. They have to be a strong old fix in there, and they could, you know, £700 door, and you don't even get nut certs in it. And I never had they were hexagon nut certs, and I didn't know what size they were. They couldn't find them. At Jeep. They couldn't find the nut certs for the door. It wasn't listing them, so I just had to buy multiple sizes, so I weren't sure on the thread or the size. And yeah, and I had to buy a better tool to do them, so I only had a small little cheap nut cert tool, and I didn't want to risk it on a brand new door. So yeah, I had to go through all that rigmarole as well. But anyway, that's enough moaning, enough waffling. Thanks for watching, everyone, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you again in the next one. Thanks a lot.